Alright guys, so now we're going to do some just blending. We're going to learn about it. Okay, so I have my background pretty much done, and now I need to do what's coming into my foreground. So keeping that same idea that as things get farther away, they get a little bit lighter, and you can't really see what's going on 100%. I'm going to start by taking my brush and my black, and I'm going to just base coat in here. So brush, black, and base coat. Alright, and one thing you need to start to think about is brush choices. So you need to make sure that the brushes that you're choosing are the biggest possible brush that you can use for that section. So right now for this section I'm using a wide flat brush because you want to paint as quickly as possible with this step, especially because I'm going to be doing some blending to show that this road is getting farther away. If your picture has a huge amount of black or whatever color you're painting, it's a good idea to get the largest possible brush that you can. If you have to change what brush you're using halfway through, that's fine, do it. So I'm probably going to have to change brushes here. And I'm going to use the side of the brush. Notice I'm taking full sweeping motions using the side of the brush to help me. See that? I let the brush do the work. And then I fill it in. Outline, fill in. You get pros at that by now. Alright, so there's my basics on that. Now I'm going to change over my paintbrush, and this is where I'm going to start to blend. So I'm going to scoop my paint like it's a dump truck, have a little glob. I'm going to put it on a paper towel or whatever I'm using to mix, and I'm just going to color mix directly. See, this is my paper towel, super messy. Color mix directly on there. And it might not be a smooth transition, but I will pull that color and start to blend it. Notice that this is still wet. That's very important for blending. So I have to work quickly. And I'm going to kind of smooth these two colors out into each other. And then I'm going to pull some more white. Mix more into my color over here. You can see what I'm doing on the side. And then even more. Again, let the paintbrush do the work. You don't have to do it for the paintbrush. And then the last little bit that I'm actually going to add direct white and just kind of color mix on here. Now, if I go over my mountain too much and I'm like, wait a second, you can always come back and fix it. But that's why it's really important that you work from the furthest part away and you slowly get closer. Also, while I have this color still mixed, I'm going to start to paint in the underpass, and I actually want to make sure that's a little bit darker than the actual color of the bridge because there's a shadow under there. So I'm making a nice line for that. All the way down. I'm going to make this one also. This one's a little bit closer, so I can make it a little bit darker. Okay. If you ever lose your lines and you're not really sure where you're going next, you can just dry brush it in and on top, and you'll just be fine. Alright, now the top part of this will have a highlight. At this point, you're old enough to be using highlights and shadows in everything that you're doing. And I'm just kind of color mixing directly on here because I know my paint's still wet. And you guys can do the exact same thing. And let the brush do the work. Okay, so there it is, all filled in. Sharpening up my line. And notice that when I painted this on, I didn't paint the railing. That's going to come at the very end. I'll do a swoosh around and we'll do some sgraffito on top. Now you have to wait for this whole thing to dry before you can go and put those dashed lines, unless you were smart and painted the whole thing yellow underneath and did a sgraffito texture. But, alright, so that was just a little bit on blending. And remember, when you are blending, it's a smooth transition. You shouldn't see where one starts and the other one stops. That might mean that you have to take both of your colors and kind of go back and forth with them. So here I went with the lighter color. Now I might take the darker color and smooth that out. Also, as blending works much better the bigger the brush you use. See, look, I was able to kind of wipe off all those brush strokes. Alright guys, basics on blending.